The dots on this screen represent an adult life in months, assuming a life expectancy of 90. Probably not as many as you would expect, because about a third of that time is going to be spent sleeping. On average, 126 of those months will go to school and your career. About 18 will be spent driving, 36 cooking and eating, 36 doing chores and errands, and about 27 in the bathroom and taking care of personal hygiene. So that leaves you with 334 months, optimistically, for everything else. So this is where you tick the boxes on your bucket list. This is where you pursue your passions and travel the world and leave your mark. How you spend this time is going to determine the quality of your life. But this time isn't just something that you spend, it's also something that you invest. Because what you do with it will quite literally determine the kind of person you become. The body, mind, and character that you will have in the future are being actively shaped by how you choose to use your time today. So take a second and ask yourself, what do you want to do with that free time? What things do you want to do that you haven't done? Who do you want to spend that time with? What is worth investing it in? Now, I would be willing to bet that scrolling through TikTok, binge watching Netflix, and playing video games probably did not come to mind. But today, the average 18-year-old in the United States is on pace to spend 93% of their remaining free time looking at a screen. That is not counting time for school. So wrap your head around how sad that is. Imagine getting to the age of 90, seeing this visualization of how you spent all your time after the age of 18, and thinking about all the things you could have done that you did not do because you got distracted. And I also want you to ask yourself, what do you think over 26 years of screen time would do to you? What is that an investment in? How would it change you? It's well established that there's a link between high screen time and mental health issues such as depression and anxiety. But recently, we've started to unveil the cognitive consequences of excessive tech use as well. When we're staring at our screens, we are constantly switching our attention between different pieces of information. The average TikTok is about 15 seconds long, and over 55% of web pages are viewed for 15 seconds or less. And if you're switching your attention every 15 seconds for an average of 8 hours and 39 minutes a day, you are training yourself to become chronically distracted. Think about what that will do to your career, to your relationships, and to your ability to pursue the things that matter most to you. Unfortunately, the consequences of screen time are not limited to our mental health and our cognition, because every social media platform carries a message that affects what we believe. They influence the way we see ourselves and the way we see the world purely based on how they are designed. Instagram inherently says that your worth is largely defined by what you look like and what you do on vacations. It compels you to capture all the most meaningful moments of your life on camera and share them with your entire social network. And it implicitly says that it's more valuable to have 1,000 people that will give you transient social approval than a few that deeply care about you, even when it's not your best day. Snapchat inherently says that the quality of our relationships is best measured by the frequency of our communication, regardless of what we're actually saying. Twitter says that anything worth saying can and should be reduced to an arbitrary number of characters, that it's more important to be updated about everything than deeply informed about anything. And when you start to compare the messages these platforms are sending with those of technologies from the past, you begin to get a sense of what we might be losing. Because the inherent structure of a book says that the world is complex and it takes time to understand. It compels us to walk in the shoes of other people and see things from their perspective with context. And it forces us to focus on one train of thought for an extended period of time, which nurtures our attention. And the letter tells us that our communication doesn't need to be frequent. It just needs to be deep. So when you factor all that in, it quickly becomes clear that the opportunity cost of this screen time is impossible to calculate. And I have never shown this visualization to anyone that actually wants to spend 93% of their remaining free time staring at a screen. So there's a stark difference between how much time we say our screens are worth and how much time we actually give them. And it is critical to realize that is not an accident. That is by design. It's a consequence of a business model that has incentives which are fundamentally misaligned with your well-being. Because you are the product that social media sells. These services are free because they are monetizing you. They profit by helping advertisers change your future behavior, whether that be where you spend your time, how you spend your money, or even who you vote for. In order to do that, they have to do two things. They need to figure out which ads are going to influence you by collecting as much data about you as they possibly can, and then they need to show you as many of those ads as possible. So social media is free because you pay for it with your time. Their profit is directly linked to how long they can get you to scroll. And every social media platform is in a battle with each other to capture as much of your free time as possible. So let's run a thought experiment. I want you to ask yourself, how much would you pay for your favorite social media platform if it charged you a monthly subscription fee? Let's do a quick calculation to figure out how much we're effectively paying for an app like TikTok. We'll assume that you value your time at a rate of $20 per hour, and you're spending 2 hours a day on the platform, or 30 days in a month, so you're effectively paying $1,200 per month for TikTok. So when you start to do this kind of analysis, it quickly becomes clear that most of us are drastically overpaying for social media. My ask of you is this: figure out what it means for you to get a good deal out of social media platforms. In order to do that, you have to do two things. You have to ask yourself, what value do these services provide? And second, you have to ask, how much of your time is that value worth? Now, I want to be clear that I am not saying social media is without value. It can be an incredibly powerful tool. It can foster relationships, it can introduce you to new ideas, it can even spark social movements. But we need to learn to use it in moderation. Don't let yourself get to the age of 90, only to look back on your life and realize that while you were trying to avoid FOMO, you actually missed out on living. That free time is your most valuable resource. Do not give it away for free.